The Vision Equals E3 partnership, led by the UK's Visage project, held a reception for members of the European Parliament. 28 MEPs and representatives of the European Commission attended the reception in Brussels on November the 28th, 2007. It was hosted by Liz Lynn, MEP.
It's very important that we get this right. In the UK, 66% of blind and partially sighted people are unemployed. 66%. But in Slovakia, Poland and the Czech Republic, that goes up to 80%. 80% unemployment. And we've got to make sure that with the Employment Directive that was passed in 2000, that it is properly implemented. We're talking about reasonable adjustment, that employers can make, even small adjustments, so that visually impaired people and all disabled people are able to access the employment market. We also need, I believe, at European level, a definition of disability, because without that, it is increasingly difficult for member states to make sure that the Employment Directive is properly implemented.
Andy Taylor, the Visage project coordinator, started his speech by talking about the way blind and partially sighted people had historically been marginalised from the workforce.
In the 19th century, a blind or partially sighted person may have been with their families, more often regardless of which European state they would have been resident in. Most likely they would have been destitute, begging, or in a poorhouse. The 20th century saw a little more social enlightenment. Blind and partially sighted people did start to take up positions in factories, with occasional gifted exceptions making it into professions like law and journalism. But it wasn't until the 1960s that blind and partially sighted people started to be seen in a range of occupations, particularly in Western Europe, including law, journalism, teaching, social work, and accounting. More usually, blind people were concentrated into the stereotypical jobs of switchboard operation, piano tuning, and massage therapist.
He went on to outline some of Vision Equals E3's priorities for action. There should be new Europe-wide disability legislation, he said, and existing legislation should be properly enforced. Member states should support employers and address their concerns, and follow Visage's example in helping blind and partially sighted people to become self-employed. And websites and recruitment material should be made accessible to blind and partially sighted people, and be designed to work with programmes which read aloud the words on a computer screen. He ended with a challenge to his audience.
If I was unemployed, I'd have immediate access to equipment like a laptop and a scanner. Effectively, therefore, I can read and write. But I can only do that because I have paid the equipment. If I were to be reliant on benefits and the equipment that I'd paid for broke down, I would be in the same position as most blind and partially sighted people, unable to read and write effectively and dependent on others for help. And I want you to ask yourselves when you're travelling back this evening or tomorrow, whether it's morally and ethically right for people to have to live like that. I want you to ask yourself how you would fare if you were less privileged and happened to be blind and unemployed.
Among the audience were people who had taken part in several of the Vision Equals E3 projects. Professor Bogusław Marek, who pioneered a scheme to teach English to blind children in Poland, was enthusiastic.
Well, the first reaction was that I'm not alone, because back in Poland when I first started, I was alone. I had a blue back from being patted on the shoulder. What a wonderful idea it is to teach English to blind children, to blind students. And having come here and also being part of the project, I know that I'm not alone and that things will not just be a dream, but they will now be, they can be a reality. For the first time in years, things have become possible. Things which had been very difficult for so many years, thanks to this project, have become possible. And we now have a very good resource centre. We started a training course for teachers of English, and we have a course for blind adults who can use English in their professional life.
Stephen Remington, the Chief Executive of Action for Blind People, the lead partner in Visage, saw the European reception opening the way to future cooperation which could build on Visage's work.
First of all, it's been a fantastic evening. It's great to be in Brussels in the European Parliament this evening, and with so many MEPs and members of the European Commission taking a serious interest in what we're doing. That has been fantastic, and we're really pleased to be involved in this event. Much more pleased indeed to have been involved in the whole partnership, bringing together five partnerships internationally, and I understand a total of some 60 partners if we take all of the partners into account, if that makes sense. So it's really been a terrific experience, and I hope it's going to be the start of a great movement in terms of opening up more employment opportunities for blind and partially sighted people. So much good has come out of this project to enable employers to become more aware, and so much of this is down to employers, of course. Employers to become more aware of the opportunities that there are to employ visually impaired people to excellent good effect. And also for visually impaired people themselves to have their self-esteem and their confidence re-established so that they stand a better chance of getting themselves into work. So it's a fantastic partnership. I hope we can do more of the same with the same partners, because we've really got fond of each other in the process. So I'm delighted.